And it's Chris Pikula on Storm. Hello and welcome to Week 5 of Vintage Super League action. We're going to kick things off with a classic battle, Storm against Mentor. Chris Pikula's got Library of Alexandria. He's on the play, so that Library is not quite as good. He'd have to slow roll it. Slow roll is turn 1 if he wants to set it up. What's Tom working with?
Oh, Tom's working with a mulligan.
Yeah, that's a clear mulligan.
So I love Chris's hand. Library of Alexandria is a great way to just get pressure right on the board. And I know that Tom has a lot of ways to get rid of Library.
True.
But if he doesn't have it, usually the blue player has inevitability. If the blue player can sit there accumulating cards, that's really good. But Library of Alexandria, even if it has the wrong art, is going to be able to just pressure Tom immensely.
Yeah, and Tom has drawn 3 lands, but none of those 5 land destruction lands. No wasteland, no strip line. He's going to preordain and look for one, probably.
Tom's hand looks fantastic against a traditional setup from Storm deck. Yeah, it's not going to be fantastic against Library. And so, in fact, this turn, Chris can choose between running out a Cabal Therapy or just dropping a grid.
Well, if he goes all the way for Defense Grid, he'll only have 5 cards left in hand, so I don't expect him to do that. He wants to stay on the Library.
Well,
Tom didn't show him a wasteland, so I mean he could Cabal Therapy blind, or he could just play a land and say go. It's tricky, like he can't do too much and stay on if he wants to stay on Library. I like the blind therapy here.
Yeah.
Now Tom, now you get the game of does Tom misstep it?
Yeah.
Chris's blind name is usually going to be Force of Will there, so.
Ooh, and there's a wasteland. That's big news for Tom.
Game on.
Now, even with this wasteland, Chris is in fine shape. He's going to be able to get down the defense grid next turn. It'll run into force, but you can only force his will so many times with your blue deck before you run out of gas.
Yeah, I mean, Chris is up a card, and he kind of forced Tom to spend a bunch of resources digging for a wasteland. Didn't really get to see what else he saw in that preordain, but I mean, it certainly feels like Tom has been forced to answer this, and now, okay, he can force once, but use his land drop this turn on wasteland, so Mentor is still a couple of turns away. Chris has got a couple of turns. In Tom's end step, not sure why we've paused. Oh, Chris was looking at the wrong deck list for Tom, and it's like, what do you mean wasteland? You don't have any wastelands in your deck.
Wow.
You're looking at the first trimester deck. Second trimester, all 4 wastelands.
So Chris drew a Wheel of Fortune, which is a really interesting draw. In theory, he could run it up this turn, but I actually still think I prefer getting out the grid.
Absolutely, you want defense grid here.
Draw a force, or it'll.
It means the future Wheel of Fortune is one-sided, right? I mean, the biggest problem with Wheel of Fortune in the Storm decks is that you often will wheel the control player into Force of Wills and mental missteps. So
that's true.
Defense grid, you want a defense grid first. I mean, even if you have to, even if it costs you a whole turn, it's absolutely worth it.
Look at what this would cost Tom. It would cost him both Gush and Force, so he actually opts not to cast it.
Wow. That's interesting.
And I don't like Chris getting an Underground Sea there at all. If he knows that Tom's on 4 wastelands, I just like getting a basic island there. Or does he not play a basic island? No,
I don't know if it is a basic island.
I'm gonna go check. No, he does not play a basic island in the main.
Yeah. Well, no wasteland to punish him. And now he's got a second source anyway. Defense grid in play. Ancestral recall.
Oh, wow. That was quite a draw.
It feels like it should be game.
Oh, I think so.
Ritual,
Oh, absolutely.
Dark Petition, Yawgmoth's Will, Ritual, Dark Petition. That feels like it should just do it.
Yeah, I think you can just get Lotus off Dark Petition, and then this is just a nice, clean win for Chris.
2 mana from Tom Martell. Now, I mean, Tom chose not to Force of Will Defense Grid, which is a pretty interesting play. Oh. I mean, it was his only Force of Will. If he forces it, he can't stop anything else. But Chris doesn't know that, so at this point, because I think if Tom had gotten to 3 mana, then he could potentially use the Force of Will and pay 3, which I think is how he was hoping this game was going to play from here.
If he had been able to get to another turn, or if he had drawn a Mox, he'd be able to force this. But even if he forces this, as a handful of gas, and if Tom did pitch his Gush, the defense grid, then Tom's out of gas anyway. So either way, this is just, with this sequence, it doesn't matter if Tom forced it or not. That's how good defense grid is.
Yeah, with 2 mana and the defense grid, Chris just knows he doesn't even have to worry about it.
Oh,
so maybe Tom did us a favor. Chris was going to win this game anyway, but he would have had to think about it for an extra minute or 2. Sequencing's a lot easier when no counter magic is even possible.
It is. Things will be nice and deterministic. That's what you want.
He got a bargain?
Really?
Do you need to get a bargain?
I'm pretty sure that... Alright, so Ritual, Petition,
Black
Lotus, Yawgmoth's Will, Ritual,
Lotus, Dark Petition,
Tendrils. That's lethal. That's lethal.
Yeah, I don't think he needed to go through Yawgmoth's bargain. I mean, it should work, but...
I don't like this at all. I mean, in the sense, I don't like this because he had a kill and then didn't kill. I don't see Tom coming back from the old Yawgmoth's bargain.
Oh, it might as well draw Black Lotus. No problem. Yawgmoth's Will has already been played, right? Yeah, Yawgmoth's Will's in effect. I mean, you may as well Lion's Eye, right?
Well, it's he could pop the Lotus for black, cast the Ritual, and then pop the Lion's Eye for blue, and then keep drawing.
Well, he doesn't even need to. Then Dark Petition for Tendrils is lethal, so.
Sure. Well, I figured since he got the bargain, he was just
having some fun drawing.
Anyway. Why not?
No problem.
And
we'll just draw it natural. Good times.
Just like Dr. Garfield intended.
Chris has mentioned that he's never really played Storm in Vintage. I mean, Chris has played a lot of Vintage over the years, but he's never been a Storm player. He mentioned going into last week that, he said preseason that he thought the only 2 good decks in Vintage right now were Workshops and Storm, but he'd never played Storm. So he played Workshops in the first trimester. I don't think he's had a lot of time to put a lot of practice in, but areas on Storm, and so far so good this week.
Absolutely. So now they're in a sideboard. I think I'm the only person who always switches to card view instead of stacked view when I'm doing anything on here.
Yes, in fact you are.
Well, that's fair. I can't actually see what these cards are that they're boarding in.
Chris is taking his Hercules out. He's bringing the 1 chain in, just in case. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what I saw him do. I mean, a lot of this comes down to what does Martell actually have. Martell, I mean, Kataki's not relevant. Containment Priest is not relevant. The 2 Stony Silences can...
Oh, yeah, I like Stony Silence a lot.
Yeah. Tom has a Flusterstorm and a couple of Pyroblasts, and then Tom has to decide if he wants to try to fight the defense.
Bringing in Supreme Verdict. That's really interesting.
Oh, to beat Empty the Warrens. Hilarious.
Do you like that over balance? I kind of like the fact that balance can be a mind twist as well.
Balance is way better than Supreme Verdict.
It
No,
looks
I
like
do not
balance is
like
in his
Supreme Verdict.
sideboard.
Balance. I see that. Balance is very much, yeah, Mind Twist / Wrath of God split card is how I think of it.
Right,
For
right.
2 mana, too.
If Chris doesn't have any counter magic, so if Chris gets way ahead on cards, in fact, if Chris uses, if he gets a Necro out and fills up his hand, and Tom can get rid of his hand and then cast Balance, that'll actually get Chris not just to discard, but also to exile his hand. He could win the game on the spot that way.
True.
I'm also thinking about what deck I'm going to put in this deck box. Might be appropriate to put. I have a Sylvan Mentor deck put together and also a Workshop deck, but I feel like this is made out of wood, so it probably has to be the Sylvan Mentor deck.
Oh, I like it. Definitely a flavor win.
And Tom has mulligan to force Mental Misstep 2 Wastelands, but nothing that he can cast and no blue sources. What do you think, Randy? Would you keep that?
That is a 6-card hand.
It looks like it, unless we're missing one.
Ugh. I actually might.
He's
yeah,
scrying.
He kept it. Okay, now he's going to scry Mentor. I think you have to push Mentor to the bottom.
Oh yeah, you can't keep Mentor
no
here.
way to cast it.
No, I mean, you have 1 Force and 1 blue card and 1 Mental Misstep, and then I guess you just hope that Chris keeps a hand that's off to Wasteland.
Right. It's almost too bad you're on the play. You kind of want Chris to...
That's true.
Chris to not know what's up with the Wastelands.
Chris has a great hand here.
Oh, Chris's hand's great. I guess it doesn't do anything till turn 3 for now, but we'll see what we draw off the probe. And next turn's draw step. Could easily go off on turn 2.
And Tom's hand is a hand that's a lot better if Chris doesn't know its contents.
Yep. Tom let the Git probe resolve, it looks like.
And there's...
Dread of Night! No Mentor tokens for you.
Wow.
Kill all the monks.
Monks are now... well, it sort of downgrades your Mentor into a regular old monk.
Exactly.
I like running it out here, hoping that he'll use the Mental Misstep on it, since you know that you can't resolve that duress anyway.
Oh, interesting. That's a nice play. I like that.
Yeah. You're hoping he'll Mental Misstep it, and if so, that means that your duress is going to get to do what duress likes to do.
And if you're Tom, you kind of have to, right? Dread of Night's super annoying for his plan.
It is. He doesn't have any Dragon Lord Ujitais to get around that. No Seekers of the Way, just this monk, which I guess he did need to leave on top.
Yeah, apparently he kept it on top.
I can't say that I like that all that much, to be honest with you.
Wow. Chris gets to see that there's a Mentor. Now he gets to duress the Force of Will, and then just whatever he wants to do next turn.
Yeah.
I guess put Necro into play next turn is the best line?
It usually is. Oh, actually, he might not have to wait. 3... No, I guess he does have to wait until next turn. Okay. So next turn he'll get to enjoy probably a Necropotence, right? Though he can play the Sol Ring this turn.
Only if he cracks his fetch land. Did he have a basic in his side? He had an island.
Yeah, he had a basic island in his sideboard. I know that Kai has no basic island main, but a basic island in his sideboard. So that means that he's going to be able to Necro. He could Yawgmoth's Will, refire the Dark Ritual. That'll take him to, well, let's see. How would that look? 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah. It doesn't sound enough. It's 1 ritual played. Dark Petition's expensive. I don't think he's got the kill here. I think you just go get Necro.
7, 5. Yeah, I don't think he'll have enough Storm to do this, but he does have 2 Gitaxian probes, actually.
That's true.
This is where I would actually just get out some paper and do it out. If I were in a tournament, I would have a piece of paper or a...
Sure. It's
one of those
Dark Ritual.
pageants to me. So
your suggestion is Dark Ritual for Dark
so
Petition for
Ritual,
Yawgmoth's
Petition,
Will.
Yawgmoth's
You
Will.
get back the Ritual, 2 Gitaxian Probes. Yeah, it's only like 6 Storm, and I don't even know if you have enough mana to recast the Dark Petition yet.
It might not work. Okay, well, getting Necropotency here almost certainly wins you the game.
Yeah.
Even if it's not using the iconic classic artwork.
Oh, come on, Chris. Chris, you do not want to get into a battle of using the proper card art. It's not a fight Chris wants to be in.
No, I mean, look at that. Tom went to the trouble. It looks like he has art from the, I think that's the Venice Island. That's nice art.
Indeed. Duh. Make it smaller. So he found fast mana. All he found was mana? That hand doesn't win next turn.
He's got a bargain.
He's at 7.
Huh.
With Necro in play. Like,
well,
yeah, that hand doesn't actually win.
Would you not cast the bargain, though? I guess it sort of buys you a turn.
Wow, you want bargain as like a 6 mana time walk is your line?
Well,
it's a lot of mana.
Right. So if Tom draws a Lotus,
a lot of mana.
If Tom draws a Lotus, well, I guess it would need to be okay. So now that Mentor's arriving, I think he definitely is going to run out this bargain.
Yeah, you're probably right. What a weird turn of events.
Absolutely.
Can Tom actually win this game?
He absolutely could. I wouldn't call it likely, but yeah, certainly.
I mean, I feel like it's closing in on coin flip territory now. Chris cannot afford to set aside a hand with Necropotence.
No,
he basically has to play bargain and hope those last 6 points of life can deliver up the win.
Well,
oh, he discarded the bargain. That was one of his discards.
What? He discarded bargain? It. Oh. Wow.
I mean, it makes sense. He had the same first impression I did, which is that bargain kind of mediocre when you're already potent.
It was the only piece of gas in his hand. I bet he wishes that Dread of Night resolved.
All right, he does get to duress the Treasure Cruise, so Tom shouldn't get to go off. But now, how many cards can you afford to set aside here?
Oh. All right. I think you set aside 3. I don't know if you can afford to set aside more than that.
Yeah, the 4th one assumes Tom bricks on his draw step.
Right, and that's not where you want to be. I mean, Tom could very easily just draw a Gush into another cantrip and just deliver a huge amount of damage here.
Yeah, you play Library as your land. You force Tom
absolutely.
to
you want to keep the Academy. I mean, I would have been.
Huh.
I mean, but now you definitely play Library, and then you'll be able to use it. So that's going to dig you one deep, unless
not if Tom
wastes it before going to the end step.
Presumably, Tom is going to waste it. Also, I don't know when do you ever have 7 exactly?
Well, I guess it won't be until
it has to survive to Tom's turn, right?
Oh no, but it creates a discard trigger, so I think you get priority. During the cleanup step.
That sounds right.
Because of normally you don't, of course, but because of how Necro works.
All right, Chris sets aside 3 cards.
Mm-hmm.
So
I would not set aside more than that.
Looks like he is prepared to take a hit from a 3/3 Mentor.
Right.
Yeah, might as well play the Petal and the Library.
It's free. All right. Well.
Yeah, hold the Lotus, sure.
This was Chris's game to lose, and I guess we'll see how that goes.
Tom is not interested
wisely wasting. There's the Dark Petition and a Grid. All right, so that's a very good hand, provided Tom doesn't change spells.
Oh.
Well...
oh, how good would Balance have been right here?
Balance would be incredible. This is exactly... Hey, Randy, remember when I said that wouldn't it be great if Chris had Necro out and Tom cast Balance with no other cards in hand? That's
agree.
Exactly what I described.
Balance would Chris would go to 0 cards and get hit by,
Yes.
well, the mentor would die, but they'd be at 0 cards, except Chris doesn't get a draw step.
Right. So actually, the balance here was exactly the scenario I described for balance being amazing.
Yeah.
All right. I feel good that worked out, but I do feel bad for Tom that, you know.
Wow, that was some pretty savage justice there. I mean, I don't know if justice is quite the right word, but I mean, it's crazy that exactly the scenario we talked about came up where you want to use balance as a mind twist.
Yes, this is exactly what we were talking about. So, all right. So we can feel vindicated. Unfortunately, it's not going to go very well here for Tom.
Yeah, no, Chris has this. Dark Petition
Right.
for Yawgmoth's Will, run back the graveyard.
Chris can't even accidentally get Yawgmoth's Bargain this time. You could just get Yawgmoth's Will here, refire the graveyard, and
yeah, and then cast a petition back for the tendrils. Yeah. Grid means Tom only has access to 0 mana counter spells, but there's only one card in his hand.
He could, in theory, have Mental Misstep, I guess.
Mindbreak Traps is the scarier one.
Mindbreak Trap, right?
Except it's not in this list.
Okay, so
yeah, there's no Mindbreak Traps in his list, so Chris doesn't even have to worry about that.
Did Chris just cast that without popping his Lotus? I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter, but neither here nor there.
Yes. I don't know. He's only got 14 mana.
All right. There goes the Supreme Verdict, just in case. That does trigger prowess.
There's the tendrils, and Chris Pikula is going to win this match 2-0. He's going to drop Tom Martell down to 2 and 3. He's going to climb up to 2 and 3 himself. Mm-hmm.
And they can both be hurling Minotaurs together.
Yeah, well, you feel a lot better. 2 and 3 definitely feels better than 1-4. 1-4, if anybody ends the day at 1-4, you're going to really start sweating that relegation battle.
Yes, absolutely. You do not want to be a Yoshin soldier.
Last place, and everyone tied for last at the end of the regular season gets relegated into the next season's play-in tournament. So top 4 make the playoffs, and that's all well and good. You know, Wizards gave us a foil set of Vintage Masters to play for. It would be nice to win that, but not last. It has to be Michigan, right? I don't know.
Yeah, last is not where you want to be. That's not where you want to be.
All right. Well, I enjoyed hanging out with you, Rich.
Good times, Randy.
That was round number 1. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have a new match. We'll have new casters. We might even have new Wormwood Gaming deck boxes. So stay tuned.
Time to get ready to play.
With Hooper Trade, the world is your trade binder.